Welcome back, everyone. NicknLex here. Thank you so much for joining me today to this new episode of Music with Nick. Thank you so much, David, for sponsoring this third episode of what I kind of like named Heavy Hitters. So this is going to be Heavy Hitters number 3, which is kind of like, a compilation of Dave's, favorite tunes. And we've been diving into some really great stuff in the last episode. TNT, we got Van Halen, we had Vandenberg, all sorts of good stuff. Zakk Wylde, and more stuff. So today is going to be a little bit different. We also dove into some Korn and last episode. Really, really surprising stuff that I honestly never had heard before. So today we're gonna dive into some bands that are also kind of like, I've heard of them, but I've never really listened to them, especially the first one here. As you can see, if you clicked on the video, Saliva, ladies and gentlemen, is the title from the album Bloodstained Love Story. This is from 2007, supposedly, and we're gonna check that out. Tesla, I've heard about that band. I remember there was a soundtrack for the movie Last Action Hero, and there was one song on there, and I did own that CD, and I love that CD because the first song was by Megadeth, and I am still a huge Megadeth fan, and it had AC/DC, and it had Tesla, and I don't know which song it had, but I just recall that it wasn't really my cup of tea, but hey, things change. I mean, if you saw last video, I actually did enjoy Korn, and that was a band that was never on my radar, and I was not even interested. So we're gonna do Too Late for Love from Mechanical Resonance. This is from the year 1986. All right. Then Dokken. I think it's Dokken. I don't think it's Dokken. I think it's Dokken. Night by Night, Back for the Attack. This reminds me of Steely Dan, of course. Night by Night. I don't think it's a cover or anything. This is from 1987, Back for the Attack, Dokken, very famous guitar player here. Then Kingdom Come, we're gonna do The Wind and Just Like a Wild Rose from the album In Your Face. Now, the only time I've heard Kingdom Come, I think, was in the channel. I've done a reaction, and I remember hearing about Kingdom Come in an interview that was on one of Ozzy Osbourne's compilations. So it was basically him talking about Kingdom Come, and because I think they were touring together. So it's like, what is that? What band is that? I wonder what that is. And that was before you could actually, download. So that was, like I think in 1999 or something. And I remember it was on a CD, on a B-side. There was some Ozzy interviews. So that's where I got that information from. So yeah, so 5 bands, 5 heavy metal acts or hard rock. Some, I can't all call it heavy metal, but it's definitely going to be loud. So get yourself some coffee or some water or whatever, a snack, and because this is going to be a longer one. So without further ado, let's get into the music. All right, so here we go with Saliva, and I always pull up, the Wikipedia when I'm listening to the song. So we're going to find out more about this band in a minute once we're done with the actual audio. So here we go. You Saliva fans out there, if you like the video, of course, but also the Kingdom Come, the Dokken fans, the Tesla fans, if you like the video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, comment below with something interesting, maybe an experience. Have you ever seen this band live? All this good stuff. So here we go. Saliva, ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
Attention to me, for a beast for your eyes to see.
actually very good. You have to, you have to be honest. When something kicks ass, then yeah, maybe it's not the style of music that I listen to in my spare time, but you got to give it to them. This is definitely awesome. It kicks ass. It that just the aggressiveness and the whole the ladies and gentlemen go. It's just like it's good. It's good. It's loud, it's heavy. I like it. So this is a genre. So this is new metal. So this is kind of like Korn, the way we started yesterday. When I was recording the marathon. This is post grunge, so it has a little bit of grungy vibes, like in the middle of chorus. Da da da. That kind of rap metal and hard rock. So rap, I've never been shy of rap. I've always embraced it. I've always kind of like, I've never been really like, I've never really followed rap like very, very closely, but I was never, against it. It was never like a problem if a friend of mine or just at a party they were playing rap, or in the car. I was always having fun. I was always into it, even though it's not my, my favorite genre, but it's really fun when you really like check it out, and when you really listen to it. There's some really cool bands. I've always loved even early stuff like Run DMC and the Beastie Boys. Those were some really good records, and they used rock. Remember Walk This Way with Aerosmith. So they kind of like, and also the Beastie Boys, I think they what was the band that they did a song with Anthrax? I think it was the Beastie Boys. I could be wrong. But there's always been a very cool link with, distorted guitars and just with rap, and I think that's the new metal genre. That was more a little bit rap with, heavy metal like riffs instead of like the falsetto kind of singing. So also, Snoop Dogg, I think in high school there was a lot of people listening to, and I was like totally cool with it. Eminem is a very important figure in the rap world. So, and there's just like really cool albums, that have been done over the decades, and it's a very cool art from the whole rhyming and the timing of it. Now, kind of right now, rap has kind of like really seen a decline in quality, and it's just like this mumble. It's very poorly made, but I really respect people that can rap and that can rhyme and that can rap on the spot. If you see old battles of rap, that's an art form. It's honestly an art form, because you have to out rap your opponent, and that's not an easy task. So, but going back to Saliva here, I really enjoyed the riff, the heaviness. So they're from Memphis, Tennessee. This song specifically is from 2007. It was actually featured in for WrestleMania, and when I was a kid, I was a huge wrestle fan, because I was always into martial arts, and I was I was in martial arts, but it was also kind of fun to see the chaos, because we didn't have the UFC, as kids. So that was like the only thing. It was boxing, and boxing was a little bit too boring for me as a kid. Obviously it's very technical. It's also the art, the art of boxing. But for me, wrestling was just so chaotic, and there was kicking involved, even though it's not the best, but there was like throwing people around, in the ring. And then eventually my dad told me, this is fake, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I was so disappointed, but still, I was still having a great time with it. So yeah, this was for WrestleMania 23, ladies and gentlemen, was the official theme song. So, there you go. They did really good. This is a great track. You got to give it, you have to give credit where credit is due. And then, yes, this reminded me a little bit of like Creed, that kind of, heaviness. And yeah, you know, so Alexia got me into that. And but yeah, in 2007 I was listening to Symphony X and Spastic Inc and stuff like that, Dream Theater. So I was totally disconnected from what was actually being played, you know. Although living in Mexico, on the radio they play the same stuff from the 80s still, back then and now. So we just went back to Mexico and we were just shocked to hear the same music on the radio as always. They never play. It's just like, I guess that worked. It worked in the 80s, and let's just do that for the next 40 years, dude, literally. So so yeah, that's why also when you live in Mexico, you don't really hear a lot of music. So that's also a reason why we really missed out on a lot of stuff. And then Alexia had her taste. She was more like an indie kind of like listener, indie music, or just like, yeah, I guess like post, like, yeah, like post grunge and stuff like that, you know. And I was just like into heavy metal and prog rock, and but progressive metal, not prog rock. I had no idea of prog rock, so I was more into heavy metal, into thrash and neoclassical stuff, and or just straight up instrumental guitar music. So, but yeah, very very cool. I really liked it, really enjoyed it. So now Tesla is next. Too Late, late for number Love. This is from the 80s. So check out, let's check out what Tesla has to offer here. Let's go for it. Let's check it out. Let's turn it up here. That's the bands that I'm talking about. This was, I did not expect Tesla to be this good. I thought Tesla was, honestly, I think they put the wrong track on that album. Let me see. I just want to see what song. Last Action Hero. And oh man, that movie is also so underrated. I love that movie. It's so funny, and it's like Arnold not taking himself too seriously. I just love all the cameos it has. It's just so good. And it bombed. That movie was like a complete like disaster for whatever critics, but it's done by the guy who did Die Hard. So Big Gun is on this album. Angry Again, Megadeth. Alice in Chains, wow. So but I remember there was Tesla. Let's see. Let's look at that. AC/DC, Def Leppard, Anthrax, Aerosmith, Tesla, Last Action Hero. They did the Last Action Hero theme song. Huh. But I did like that song. Last Action Hero. Maybe it was the Fishbone Band. I don't know. There was a band on there, so I got it totally wrong. But look at this lineup. AC/DC, Alice in Chains, Megadeth, Queensryche, Def Leppard, Anthrax, Aerosmith, Alice in Chains, Cypress Hill, another rap band that I love. Fishbone, I think it was Fishbone, and then Tesla. No, Tesla was definitely, this was amazing. So look, Tesla for me is that it has that from Sacramento, California, it says hard rock glam metal. I would even call it like heavy metal. I mean, the solos were amazing. It was heavy, but it has that chorusy kind of vibe, It is in that, in that universe of like bands. I looked them up. It's like Cinderella, Great White, Winger, Dokken, Night Ranger, Rat, yeah. There's some other, I don't know about David Lee Roth. I think Poison, Warrant, Helix that I also just like found out about. Def Leppard has always been kind of like a weird, they kind of like were like British, new wave of British heavy metal, but they turned into like this more like, Skid Row. Def Leppard, I just have to listen to more. Skid Row, I would, put in that category. Maybe Zebra, not. Zebra is on here. I don't think Zebra is like that, what they call like, glam metal. It says here Tesla is an American rock band, and it says here Tesla rose to fame during the hair metal boom. Now, hair metal, a lot of people are like, hair metal, what are you talking about? But it is that, it is what it is. It's a genre, Motley Crue, Quiet Riot, Twisted Sister, Bon Jovi, Dokken, like, that's what I was talking about yesterday in Heavy Hitters number 2, that there was this movement on like in the LA area, and like just that was completely different from other bands. I think in the Bay Area they were more into like thrash, Metallica, and stuff like that, and Megadeth, so heavier. And then Texas, Pantera, stuff like that. So it was just a totally different style. And I think these bands kind of like were into a little bit of a competition against each other, because one band was more for, sing along and like, get drunk, have a good time. And then girls, were also into that music. And then thrash, the outcasts were listening to that, like you didn't really have girls listening to thrash. But I could be wrong. I'm sure there were hardcores, who were into like that faster stuff and more aggressive stuff. But this is obviously more, easier to sell. It's easier to put on the radio. You can sing along. It's not like, like Sodom or stuff like that, So Sodom is another band that's like thrash from Germany. super cool, super heavy, just diabolical, you know, really, really cool. All they sing about is war. It's really intense. Like, not my favorite stuff, but it's kind of fun to put them on. Maybe one song, and then you're like, okay, that's it. This is way more digestible. It's easier to listen to. Great singing, great solos. It's very thoughtful composition. It is just, you know, it's stuff that sounds good. You know, it has that purpose. You know, let's record a song that we can put on the radio that's gonna do well. We're gonna make money. We're gonna get the chicks. That kind of deal. You know, that's what they were about. You know, it was about being a rock star and getting, you know, girls, and the thrash bands were just like, I just want to destroy shit, you know. So you know, so here's another one of the same kind of like style, Dokken. Let's check out Night by Night, and let's see if I'm right, if it sounds a little bit like Tesla or the bands that I just mentioned. Here we go. Sounds very good. So George Lynch, yeah, this was so good. Just holy shit, the solo. I think that was George Lynch. Yeah, I'm not surprised. That guy, that's like the Yngwie Malmsteen of not being Yngwie Malmsteen. He's like ridiculous. I love his playing. So Dokken, I think Don Dokken on lead vocals, George Lynch on guitar, and I don't know the other guys. Jeff Pilson on bass, Wild Mick on drums. But I mean, this is what I'm talking about. This is the style of music, and it's just so easy to listen to, and it's good, and it's heavy, and I love the vocals, and it's all very well arranged. It's just really made to be successful. It's like the solo, like he wrote that solo. He wrote it in mind. It's not just improvised. This is a solo, like all the pinch harmonics, all the dive bombs. It's all that stuff that is so you feel like, man, I love the solo. I was like, Jesus, this guy's really like, going places that it's not so really predictable like some other solos. George Lynch is a hell of a guitar player. I really, really like his stuff, and I've always known that he was like, in that same category as, Yngwie Malmsteen with Alcatraz, or like Michelangelo with Nitro. Like those lead guitar players is scary, lead guitar players. Greg Howe. Greg Howe was more less like a solo instrumental, like instrumental guitar, like Tony McAlpine, but still in that ballpark. People who can just like play really freaking good. Like Steve Vai with White Snake. And I love how when the solo turned into like, harmony guitar, really, really cool. Had some really cool changes, really cool stuff, this is great music. You have to give, imagine driving down, LA with this music on and your like Dodge Challenger, I don't know. This must have been amazing, and singing along to this, and maybe you had some girls singing along. This was the music to, to party. I don't think anybody could really party to like Damage Incorporated by Metallica, or like, stuff like that, like Master of Puppets. That was awesome, but it was just more, it was for a different crowd, it was for different people. This is more party music. This is about girls and, about love and about lonely nights and stuff like that. It's almost like love. It's love songs, and this other stuff was all death and dying and fear and, war. And it was more, obviously this other stuff was more about real stuff and more serious stuff. And this was more like Night by Night, Too Late for Love, it is what it is, so this is obviously and then what happened kind of like in the 90s, people were like, just stop it, I'm done with this stuff. And this is when grunge became popular. They wanted like it was almost like a reset button. Like, we don't want this, we don't want your flashy guitar solos, we don't want to hear your your breakups. We want music about pain, and that's what they got, with grunge, and then grunge basically took over, and then there were bands who kept doing what they're doing, like Iron Maiden. They never changed, they changed that they were experimenting a little bit more with, I think the first 7 albums were pretty like heavy metal, almost proggy at the end, and then they become like this hard rock band, and Maiden fans didn't like that. And then Bruce Dickinson left, and then it was literally over. Then when he came back, they came back very, very strongly, and they've been playing 25 years ever since, when Bruce Dickinson came back. What a comeback to do the same thing you were doing for almost like what, a decade, and now you've done it like almost 3 decades more. Nothing but respect to Iron Maiden, honestly, and Judas Priest. I mean, I'm so happy that I could see them on the same weekend. We saw Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Metallica, Tool, AC/DC, and Guns N' Roses. Guns N' Roses with Axl and Slash, and the original. We were so lucky, So, okay, so yeah, that's what I think about this kind of music. I do like it. It's really good, and especially now when you come back to it, like me, like I didn't grow up with this music, but it's really, I really like what I'm hearing. So Kingdom Come, I don't know what they're about. Let's check them out. The Wind here from the same album. I'm going to do In Your Face, 1989, and then we're going to do from the same album, Just Like a Wild Rose. Here we go. The Wind.
seeking answers in the ashes of our lives, and they will find the place and time, my friends. It's alright. And still the wind is gonna blow, sometimes fast and sometimes slow. Oh.
Very, very good. But there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. So this is also considered, it's glam metal, heavy metal, hard rocks. So they're from Germany. That is crazy because there's no accent. First I was like, well, you know, it sounds a little bit, the brain. It sounds a little bit like, you know, Klaus Meine from Scorpions, you know, Germany, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, no, this sounds like Led Zeppelin. Even here in the wiki, they've made some claims, you know, it's just so close. And I'm a Led Zeppelin freak. Like that's the only band that I can react to because I've heard it all pretty much. I mean, if there's a hidden album that was made, maybe, but I've heard pretty much everything by Led Zeppelin. So when we do Led Zeppelin, we have a Lexi react to Led Zeppelin because I've heard it all and I bought all their records. I was just a fan, so it sounded just like, you know, obviously the vocalist, he sounds almost like a Robert Plant with almost a little bit more range, you know, like even higher, or like a very young Robert Plant. But I mean, Robert Plant was so young when he was in Led Zeppelin. So it's obviously kind of like, but not just the voice and the whole, just the style of singing, you know, it's not the voice. It is literally the style of Robert Plant that I can't do it. But, you know, there is a certain style. And when you hear Robert Plant, it's like, that's Led Zeppelin because that's just the way Robert sings, you know. But it's also the riffing. The riffing was literally like very Jimmy Page-esque riffing, you know. It had a little bit more distortion, you know, the whole thing, but it was that Led Zeppelin kind of like chords, like the riffs and the whole vibe, and it's like a slower kind of like, you know, beat to the whole thing. So it sounded sometimes very, very Led Zeppelin-esque, you know, but still, I mean, they have an amazing talent. But I'm sure they got a lot of like flack for that. I'm sure, because the same thing is happening with another band that's doing very well, and very happy for them. They're called Greta Van Fleet, and they're literally, the first time I heard them, I was like, is that a song by Led Zeppelin that I know that it just sounds like Led Zeppelin, but I know it's not. But these guys are so close to Led Zeppelin that I actually thought, my God, they released something from, because it sounds even like they have that 70s tone. The singer literally sings like Robert Plant, Greta Van Fleet, and they, according to them, they sound like the Stones. And that's where I'm a little bit, you know, I get a little bit upset, because why not say yes? You know, we love Led Zeppelin, we're inspired by them. And yes, if we sound like them, whatever, you know. But no, to say we sound like the Stones, it's almost like you want to gaslight your audience. It's like, but I do like them. I really like Greta Van Fleet, and they have changed. You know, I think they were younger, and then after a while, they did change their style. And I mean, the guy, he can sing almost like anybody. Sometimes he sounds like Geddy Lee. Sometimes he sounds like Robert Plant. Sometimes he just sounds like himself. I think they've really evolved. I haven't really heard everything, but I've heard like their first like single, and that was literally Led Zeppelin. And then the second, and that was still kind of Zeppelin-esque. And then it kind of like now found their own tone, which is fine. You know, I think we all play covers when we start, and we can even make an album inspired by, but I was like, the only thing I think they should have said is like, Well, yeah, we sound like Led Zeppelin, so what? You know? I mean, they even said that Rush sounded like Led Zeppelin on their first album, and maybe they did, you know? I mean, Led Zeppelin came out in 69, 68. It's very inspirational, like Black Sabbath. I mean, but yeah, so this was definitely awesome. But yes, I just had to talk about the comparison. And even, I think if I scroll down here, yeah, even Jimmy Page was like, yeah, like it says here, obviously it can get to a point where it gets past being a compliment, and it can be rather annoying when you got things like Kingdom Come actually ripping riffs right off. So that was from 1988, an interview. I didn't hear like literally riffs that were ripped off in that song, but hey, you know, if Jimmy Page even talks about it, it is what it is. You know, there's just that many notes and that many riffs that you can come up with, and in a hard rock, you know, universe. Now, when you go into bands like, when you go into progressive rock or technical metal, man, people get very creative, and it doesn't sound like anything else you've ever heard before. Like, listen to Watchtower, listen to Spastic Inc. You will never hear anything like that ever. But that is being truly original, you know. But in a like 3-chord, 4-chord structure, you know, things can get repetitive, you know. So let's check out this last song, also by Kingdom Come, and trust me, I do like them. They have a lot of talent. I mean, look, they opened up here for the Monsters of Rock tour 1988, supporting Dokken, the Scorpions, Metallica, Van Halen. I mean, to play with these bands, you have to be up there, you know. So, all right, so let's check out the last song here, called Just Like a Wild Rose. Let's go. Same album.
Something inside, all of her charms wrapped in my arms. I never knew I'd take so much and yet be blind. The storm's coming slow. She loved me and go. She's just like a wild rose. Electric touch, almost too much, in between love and pain, passionate flames. Never forget, ain't finished yet. I never knew that I could feel so strong inside. The storm's coming slow. She loved me and go. She's just like a wild rose.
Very cool. Very good. Very good. I was reading here about the singer. He's from Germany. I can't believe it because there's like no accent. And so he started with Stone Fury, but that kind of like didn't really work out. I mean, they were successful, and then with Kingdom Come, obviously they were very successful here. And unfortunately, there was going to be a 30th anniversary tour, and he said like, I'm just kind of done. I want to retire. So that's kind of sad, you know, because I mean they have a good sound going here. Again, there's like that the band came under criticism for the comparison, and they just said, well, we took it as a compliment. That's really, I mean, I like that, you know, I like that attitude. You know, it is what it is. You know, the guy just has a very similar voice, and you can't really like, you know, I mean, you can't really like crucify someone for having the same pipes, you know, as someone else. Now with Greta Van Fleet, I just looked at them. I wanted to see their songs, and they literally dress like Led Zeppelin. It's like, it's really, you know, I really like them, but it's almost like they look like from like Lord of the Rings, man. Honestly. Just the photo, if you go on Spotify, I mean, with feathers and shit, you know, it's lit. They're going all the way. It's like, it's crazy, but I really like them, you know. I really like bands like this. I think the same thing happened with, was it Billy Squier, that also has a very similar voice to Led Zeppelin. And I think there was another band that they compared. I think the comparisons to Led Zeppelin, they're gonna last forever, because there's always gonna be someone who sounds like Robert Plant. I think the second song sounded very much very original. I didn't get that Zeppelin vibe at all. He just has a, you know, similar voice, but I can live with that. But the song wasn't as obvious. Like the first song had even like the kind of like the playing and stuff, but when it comes to the solo, it's completely different, you know. Jimmy Page's solos are very I mean, it's just a different technique, you know. I mean, I say what you want. I think one of the most epic solos that exists is Stairway to Heaven. It's very thoughtfully composed, but just when he improvises, it's not really something that I'm like that I would be a fan of, because it's just like when you hear all these other guitar players, I think he writes like a god and he composes amazing songs, and he is Jimmy Page, the legend, and he will always be. But when it comes to improvisation and you listen to other players, it's just like, you know, there's just so much other better technique that came after, and it's just like, it is what it is. You have to be realistic here, you know. I mean, there's people that come up with really amazing things, you know, like Jimi Hendrix and Jimmy Page and Clapton, and but then there's people that just take it and they take it up a notch, and you will never they will never lose that legendary status. But is there better players? Of course there are. I mean, it's like there's always going to be better athletes as well, but the ones that showed us like for the first time, that were revolutionary, that were like, that came up with the stuff, like Van Halen, you know. Van Halen, maybe he didn't come up with tapping, but he brought it to the mainstream. He made it popular, and he was so good at it. And Van Halen is such an incredible player. Just talked about him yesterday. So he's never gonna get, everybody will always respect him for that, because he was a pioneer. And yes, there's people that play stuff and Van Halen like it's nothing, and they play stuff that's maybe harder, but Van Halen will always have that status. Jimmy Page will always have that status. Jimi Hendrix will always be a pioneer for playing the guitar so differently than anybody else. And yes, there's obviously players that overcame that challenge and became better, but maybe they didn't get the recognition, you know. As a guitar player, you think of these things. It's like like I think like athletes, we'll always remember, Diego Maradona from Argentina, but then we got, Messi. And I mean, but that doesn't take away from Maradona. He was like, he's always going to be a legend, And the same goes for other sports, like basketball, baseball. There's always going to be these legendary people that have like the status. And yes, maybe their records were broken afterwards, but that doesn't take away of how awesome they were, or still are in this case. Thankfully, we still have Jimmy Page around and Clapton, and we've lost like amazing players, unfortunately. But hey, this was so much fun. Thank you so much, David. These marathons are so much fun. There's so much to talk about, with music, and there's so many styles. There's so many styles of rock. There's so many styles of metal. There's prog. There's so many music that we can sink our teeth in. It's amazing. But again, thank you so much, everybody. I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment below, whatever you think of these bands or what I said. It's always nice to have a conversation, and maybe you disagree with many things that I said, and that's cool. We can all have an opinion, and we can all, get along with that opinion, even though we think differently. So again, I wanted to thank David for sponsoring the marathon. Thank you so much, and you guys for watching, and I hope you had a great time. Let me know, and I'll see you all in the next one.